Everybody, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm trying to see who's already on. Dang, there's a lot of you. Mark and Manuel and Jan and Stryker. Stryker always joins the Garden Show, which I'm on right before this on WOAI. And I don't know you guys, but I always tell everybody that if they can't find you while I'm on the Garden Show, to go to Facebook. And I know that's wrong because I'm taking away from the next show. But if you have joined this show before and you are out and about and somebody new wants to know about it, go to sidebartv.com. But also, you can set up a little alarm so that you can be alerted. And maybe somebody that's not tech savvy doesn't know where we are, because we do still get calls on WOAI that says, where did the guys go? What happened to them? And so I always have to tell them. I was hoping that we would be talking about a win last night for the Spurs. And I know you guys aren't huge sports fans, but...
Is this on?
No.
Okay, good.
Oh.
I like boxing and MMA. I mean,
Wasn't that what was happening last night on the court?
I don't know. I didn't watch it, actually.
It was just stupid.
I don't know. I mean, ever since Tim and the old guys stopped playing, I
Right.
quit following, so I don't even know who's on what. I've seen some of the players now. I know Wimby, obviously, he's a big star. And there's some other dude named Castle or something
I don't know.
with long hair.
Don't ask me. I don't know. I just look at the
They're
score.
good. And I hear they're good. I mean, obviously, they got it this far. They're a talented team. I don't know how the coaching's going. I don't know. I just don't
I don't
follow
even
them.
know who the coach is.
I mean, I selfishly want to win because I want San Antonio to win, but...
Sure.
Although I'm not crazy about Wimby crossing his arms during the
the national anthem. I was going to bring that up.
maybe that's more of a social thing. Maybe he
No,
just doesn't know. Or,
no,
you know?
that's what I think.
Did they ask him?
No, I don't know if they asked him or not, but I blame the other Americans that are on the team that didn't tell them, hey, show some respect.
Well, at least put your arms in front of you or to your side or behind you. I mean, not everybody has to. I mean,
yeah, but
not
if they don't know,
everybody-
they don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't know that maybe he's got to
He's
know by now.
22 years old.
Well,
He's
I'm not worried about
all
that,
he
but
knows is basketball.
Somebody should tell him. Just put your arms to your side. You don't have to cross your arms.
I know, but don't you think if you're an athlete like in the Olympics, they tell you this is how you act when somebody else's national
I'm surprised
anthem.
someone from the Spurs hasn't said, "Hey, man,
That's what I think.
around here, just put your arms in front of you or to your side, maybe." Or I don't know how they run it over there, but
Because Greg Popovich is a paragon of respect for America.
Let me just tell you something. I have to say
he's not there anymore.
that I'm so glad that he's not there, because the politics and mixing it with what the Spurs were doing, I think it really ruined a lot of people's opinions on the Spurs, and they didn't want to watch it anymore, because who wants to watch like their favorite sports guy and then the coach is like, I hate Trump. You're like,
Well,
okay.
Steve Kerr does the same shit.
I know.
It's a cultural problem. It is.
But that's
And I mean,
a
it's
shame.
pervasive in American sports.
But don't you see that now that the Spurs are winning, like, it doesn't matter if you're R or D. Like, everybody has such pride and they're happy that they get to be part of something that is winning and is positive and is fun.
But there used to be a sense that this isn't existing on its own. You know, this isn't self-existent. This only happens because you're in a culture that enables this.
I know,
That
but
you can enjoy these things in this country and you can celebrate in this country. It used to be a time for Americans to come together regardless of political persuasion.
Yep.
And it's become these platforms for divisive politics. And to the point where there's a rejection of the very country that made all of this possible. And it's not just the NBA. I mean, it's pervasive through the NFL. It's all over the place.
But
And
It is
that's
everywhere.
really a good point. You know, people used to watch sports, and it was just kind of a reprieve from all
Yes.
the bullshit. You know,
Yes.
and just a reprieve. It's like, man, let's just cheer for our sports. Let's talk crap to each other. Let's just yell and scream and let loose and all
have
that.
our differences and then love each other.
Yeah, well, whatever each other. That's fine.
Well, I'm talking about friends.
Yeah,
and now
you
friends
hope.
are like,
Yeah, it just.
when I came as an immigrant and as a young kid in southeastern Pennsylvania, west of Philadelphia, and I was in a neighborhood filled with Irish Catholics. There were some Jews in there. There were Republicans. There were Democrats, and I knew that because I would hear them talk about politics in other settings other than sports. And we'd come together. I'd watch them. I'd be there with my buddies and invite all their neighbors, and it was very eclectic. And man, you want to talk about a bonding that American sports brought. And nobody talked about their
but George,
political differences.
you know
at that time.
what? The reality is, and I know, Nico, you're going to agree with me, That used to be San Antonio, the whole city. It was like this melting pot of cultures and religions, and nobody
I don't know if
said
it was a
it.
melting pot of religions. I mean, this is it had a
No,
strong
but
Catholic
nobody
influence. I mean, look at all
brought
the missions.
that into a situation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we had a foundational understanding of traditional values. Dare I say conservative? I could say traditional values of a nuclear family, of what's right and wrong. We kind of all agreed on the rules of engagement. America did, but it was especially San Antonio. And then you had Democrats and Republicans, and they really, I always bring this up. They didn't really disagree on everything. There were some things that they just agreed on. Strong borders and support the police as an institution. If they do something wrong, hold individuals accountable.
Family was so
values.
important.
Believing in something greater than ourselves outside of time, space, and matter. There was an acknowledgement that we are created and that there is a design to this thing called life. The rules of engagement were different. Now it's just the rules of engagements are win at all cost. I hate you. That we agree on nothing. And if you're on that tribe, I'm not gonna. Then everything you say is wrong, and everything on my tribe is right. There's no way. This experiment wasn't set up that way.
No.
It wasn't. And so as we ironically celebrate 250 in a month, 250. I mean, there's no way we're gonna make another 250. I'm not saying that to be doom and gloom.
No,
not
it's
at this
the
rate.
truth,
There's
and it's
no way
ugly.
we're gonna make another 250. Not without a true reset. And whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I just keep on fighting the good fight, as they say, until the Lord calls me off this earth and try to persuade people and move the needle. But
as American society has become less Christian, you've seen this happen. I mean, the world we're describing is a world where the dignity of your neighbor mattered more than his political viewpoint. Whereas today, your dignity is defined by your political viewpoint. Well, and so you devalue people or value people based on their political views. That's a complete reversal of American culture.
But let me make a comment, because Salo sent me a comment from Alamo Talk, who I really like, and I've had lunch with him, and I consider him more than an acquaintance. I mean, we have each other's numbers. Greg Popovich is a proud U.S. Air Force veteran, which thank you for your service, but that doesn't mean we can't criticize him.
No kidding.
I don't know what that means. And,
No kidding.
And nobody called him names, and nobody, I don't know, I don't remember what George said.
I said that you just shouldn't bring politics into this
It's not, my brother, it's not disrespectful to criticize him. I mean, it goes back and forth. I mean, you hold everyone to the same standard, but just anybody. I don't care if you're the Pope. I don't care if you're a pastor. I don't care if you have the title of a quote-unquote Christian or Islamic, the president. Anyone. Yeah, any of them. I mean, no one's above criticism. Now, if it gets to threats, that's different. Free speech doesn't cover threats. But I mean, ugly talk, disrespectful talk. I'm like I said, I'm a free speech dude, man. I'm telling you, because if you get into the free speech, you get into free thought, and you're in trouble. Now, I prefer to start off respectful, bold, courageous, push back. That's good. But to get into this, but then on the flip side of this, any criticism doesn't put a phobia behind your name. If I criticize Islam, I'm not an Islamophobe. If somebody criticizes, because no one says Christian phobe, by the way. It's always a one-way street. If you criticize trans, you're not a transphobe. If you criticize whatever, you're not a. But no one ever says Jesus phobe, Christian phobe, traditional phobe, conservative phobe, or whatever. And so I just call bullshit on all that stuff. Let's just talk about ideas. Criticize my ideas. I will criticize your ideas. Let's look at that empirical evidence, if we have it, to say which ideas work better, and then let's move forward. And then what I always bring in is I'm a traditionalist. I go back to the original. This country was an experiment, and we should talk about this leading up to not today maybe, but leading up to our celebration of 4th of July. But this was an experiment. And our founding fathers, the manufacturers of this country, the manufacturers of the Constitution, had a set of ideas to this experiment. I think that if it lasted 250 years, not because of the administrative state, not because we put a bunch of letters and unelected bureaucrats make laws, enforce laws, and do their own shit, and then the representative government has been thwarted. I'm not into the deep state. I'm not into all that crap. I want to go back to what our founding fathers envisioned and what they were truly worried about, whether it's outside influence from foreign governments, whether it's anything. I am truly a United States, America first person. Now, that doesn't mean at all cost. That doesn't mean we don't have alliances. That doesn't mean that we screw other people over to get an advantage, because then that's immoral to me, and I don't believe in that. I'm a Christian first. But I believe in America interests first, period, end of story. Now, so I don't know. I mean, we got to, so back to Alamo talk. I mean, he's a friend, but I don't think anyone was being disrespectful to Pop, but Pop is sure as hell good at being disrespectful. So hold that standard. Hold that standard to Pop. You know, if you have this,
he's the king of
who
disrespect.
Who disrespects his own? Who disrespects his own country?
Big
I mean, he's
time.
but forget, I agree. Make your point, but he disrespects people too. But make your point about the country. So go ahead.
He
Sorry,
does.
George.
I mean, he was asked a simple question about celebrating Black History Month, and he became irate about the fact that, of course, we should celebrate Black History Month because the league's filled with a bunch of black guys, and in the United States, the problem in the United States is that it's a racist country. And to say all the stuff he says about Trump, I mean, he can think what he wants to think about Trump, but I mean, calling him a soulless coward and calling his comments racist and homophobic and xenophobic and misogynistic. These are left-wing talking points. Greg Popovich is a man of the left, and he espouses that religion, and he does it mindlessly because he doesn't back up anything like every other left-wing ideologue, doesn't back up a effing thing that he says. It's all just sort of visceral, sort of mindless jargon. There's no basis behind it. And
He has that right. He has that right to be a leftist.
Right. Those are different issues. He obviously has the right. But the problem becomes, how do you use your right? Do you really believe that the founders of this country were racist? I mean, do you really think that being in that kind of forum is the place to discuss that? I mean, there is such a thing as discretion.
But if the Spurs allow it, and then
That's
it's
right.
I mean,
That's
and so we come back to culture.
That's
It's a
right.
culture that
How do we do
enables it,
things?
a culture that encourages it, and I think it's eating away at Nico was describing is this kind of camaraderie among the country that used to exist because there was a shared moral framework. Again, your neighbor has inherent dignity. That's an American concept. It's right in the Declaration of Independence. Your neighbor has inherent dignity regardless of his political viewpoint. Today, it's the opposite. Your dignity is defined by your political viewpoint. I mean, there's a contempt that people have for one another because they share different political viewpoints. That's un-American. It's not just anti-Christian, but it's also un-American. And those things relate to each other. As the country slides away from its Christian roots, that moral framework of dignity for mankind and dignity for your neighbor, as you slide away from that, you're going to see more and more and more ugliness. And it's entered our politics, it's corroded it. And the idea that it's Trump's fault and that he's racist is just mindless. Step back, do a little history, and recognize that if you really look in a mirror, you'll see you've played a part in that too. We all have played a part in that. And that's where it starts. Own it, get good at repenting, saying you're sorry, acknowledging that you've participated in this, and maybe there's a way forward. Nobody comes to the table with clean hands here. I've done it. I've participated in it. And I like to think of myself as a reasonable person who loves his neighbor.
Not everybody thinks you're reasonable.
And I've done it. And I've done it while I'm helping them out because I agree.
You have
Because I'm helping them out. I'm helping them out right now because I've done it. I've participated in that. We've all done that. And it's always good to just kind of step back. And I mean, passion's a good thing. But if you're leading with passion, I'm telling you, you're going to break shit. And it's going to be people you're going to break.
You're making a distinction between passion and emotion. Emotion, I don't think is good to lead with emotion. Passion is okay.
Unbridled passion.
Unbridled passion turns into what? Emotion, and that's why it can be dangerous. But sorry, you didn't mean to go there. Is that what you did, Karen?
No, I
Get
did
the
because
topics,
we
please.
always have to talk about something while everybody comes in, and everybody's here now. So let's start talking. But before we start talking, I know you didn't watch the Spurs. Did you watch the Spurs game last night, George?
I did not.
Okay, so y'all aren't sports guys, but
He
you're
was reading-
very
I am a sports guy.
No, shush.
Okay, all right.
And I want to know.
I was busy. Too busy.
I know.
I listen.
Yeah, I was
too busy watching
too.
my wife. She's
I
much
was
more
busy.
interesting.
Hey, take it easy.
But I just
George.
wanted one
Take it
question
easy.
before we start the show. Did y'all play any high school sports?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Martial arts, I had basketball, football. So I transitioned into, there's a word. I transitioned from football, basketball. You saw the signs. From football, basketball, track, into boxing and martial arts. So
Okay.
I started doing martial arts to do off-season sports when I was going from 8th grade to high school. And I just fell in love with combat sports. and boxing and martial and competing in that. And so and that's a year-round thing. It's not like you have seasons.
I know.
And so I just
and the most competitive, probably.
Yeah, well,
the people.
I mean, for me,
I'm talking about the mental attitude.
And so I went into that, and then all my high school was that type of competition.
It doesn't surprise me.
And I played soccer year-round. If I wasn't playing soccer in the summer, I was certainly playing soccer in high school, and I was playing indoor soccer.
Yeah,
so
that's not a surprise to me either.
My sister's here; she'll tell you.
Yeah. What was your position?
What's that? I was a striker, left wing. Can you believe that?
The star.
I was left wing. I played left wing. Yeah.
Left
you like
wing,
that?
left wing, George. You're a leftist.
I've been confused from day one. I kick left-footed, and I'm right-handed.
That's amazing.
You got to kick with.
That's
amazing. I punch with both hands.
Yeah.
You got to be ambidextrous in those sports.
I am.
Hey, but can you fully?
I can punch just as good with my left as my right.
That doesn't surprise me.
I taught myself how to be ambidextrous because in martial arts and in boxing, people get on one side, and then number one, you get more movement injuries. But two, in a real combat situation, you got to be able to use both hands. And so what I did was to get the dexterity, I taught myself to write with my left hand.
That's big.
And this is before I broke my hand. And now I taught myself how to eat with my left hand. And to throw, I play ping pong with my left hand. I'm not as neat as my right, but I can write. You can read my writing.
Yeah.
I can shoot better with my left hand. I'm not kidding about that, but I'm right. Yes.
Yeah, I wish I
don't know
could
why.
take credit for that. I'm not as disciplined. I was just born that way. But it was weird to me. You know, I mean, I bat left-handed. Yeah, I know. It's just
you're a lefty. George is a lefty. That's it. All right.
I'm a closet lefty.
Hey, thank you, everybody.
I'm compensating for my closet leftism. Go ahead.
Thanks so much. And of course, I always like to go over where everybody can find us, and that's sidebartv.com. Please share this podcast. We have so much fun, not only here, but just looking at all the comments. And it really is a big family of a bunch of weirdos. What? Oh, I know. It really is like a family. There's so many sick people in here. I can't even believe it. Well, I mean,
there's 3 or 4 of them right here.
She's in charge of our promo.
But I love it when people say he's arrogant and not educated, plain and simple. I was like, is this my family fighting in here? Yeah. Love one another as I have loved you, I believe, is how we were founded. But then there was another one that said Alamo talk is a piece of.
No, he's not. He's really not.
No,
he's
I
really
know,
not.
but I'm just saying.
I've sat with him. I've broken bread with him.
You can do that.
We fellowshipped in person. He's really not.
You're the only one.
No,
and that's good. Somebody has to like him.
And he's been a friend.
He's
been a friend of Alamo's. He's been a friend of the show. He's been.
He is.
Consistent, and we're always very glad when he's on board.
He's a good dude.
Okay, what happened this week? Of course, U.S. and Iran trade another round of fire. Iranian officials say talks are at a deadlock. Deadlock? Really? Is that news? I guess it is. But the bigger question behind that is, what is all of this stuff with Iran doing to our president's credibility? Is it hurting him? Is it time to end it one way or another?
Well, let's ask this.
Yes.
But we can get into the details because there's the conservative view, there's the antagonistic view, then there's the centrist view, and you can analyze everyone's opinions. But let's just start with this. Is the way he's handling the ceasefire and the talks with Iran helping overall, making him more credible or less credible?
It's a good question.
Big question.
It's less credible.
It's kind of the central question.
Yeah, but it's a rhetorical question. He's not more credible. I mean, after Venezuela, credible. After all the other stuff he's done, credible. After the initial attacks, credible. But this is, I vented to George, and George and I got into it this week during the week.
Well, I vented too, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm there. I mean, for months he's been telling us that Iran is desperate to make peace, and that a blockbuster deal is imminent.
But they're not. You knew that.
I told you last week, and I'm at a point now where I'm suffering from whiplash, and that's not a good place for a guy like me to be. I've been pretty steady with Trump because I believe that the war is morally and politically justified. I believe that. But he set expectations, and those just saying, he set expectations, and it's not just him. I mean, it's his cabinet. His cabinet's, cabinet members have set expectations along with him, and those expectations have not come to fruition. We're going back to February 28th, when the conflict started, when the war started. It's now June 6th. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. I don't want to overstate something. To my knowledge, Iran hasn't surrendered.
No.
To my knowledge, the Strait of Hormuz is not open.
Nope.
To my knowledge, the mullahs are still in control. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard is still in control. And to my knowledge, Iran is still launching missiles.
Yep.
And you get drones here and there, and they're still attacking their neighbors. So I think it's rational to say, what exactly has been achieved? That's a legitimate question to ask.
Yep.
That's it. That's where I'm at right now. And I realize this is a process, not an event, but I'm really critical of the ceasefire. because I think he was making momentum on all the fronts that I just mentioned. He was clearly achieving things. He hadn't completed them, but he was achieving them. There were clear milestones. The CENTCOM briefings were providing satellite footage. They were decomposing down to the granular detail what had been accomplished. He was getting corroboration from our Gulf Coast Coalition or Gulf Coalition of countries. All of that was happening, and you could see it. And then the ceasefire happened. And I just simply don't know what that's achieved, except to reverse our gains in many ways.
Yep.
And I think his credibility is getting more and more shot on this issue. We can't afford to lose credibility. Trump's credibility is what's gotten him elected.
Yeah.
Not his niceness, but his credibility is what's gotten him elected. You can say what you want about Trump, Nico, but when he says something, that dude's going to do it.
In the past, yeah.
Right. And so that aura has been, I think, shattered to some extent during this ceasefire. That's my assessment.
Well, I think you're 100% right. To me, and remember, we defined what a win is for Iran. They're winning. Not I understand
say more about that.
Their ships are, their Navy sunk and their Air Force is this and all the other crap. I get it. Yes, check. But they are winning.
And it doesn't
the PR
make things any better when there's news that Trump and Netanyahu are fighting and that there's conflict between them. That to me shows even more weakness.
I believe it if it's true. I don't think it's been confirmed, but it would not surprise me if it's true. I have my theories on that, and I can share them at the right time. But let me tell you, with Iran, like Rocky 1. You remember Rocky 1?
Mm-hmm.
Evander Holyfield versus oh God, I can't believe I was going to say Buster Douglas, not Buster Douglas.
It wasn't.
No,
Mike,
not
Tyson. It wasn't Mike Tyson.
Riddick Bowe. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. Riddick Bowe. Evander lost the first fight they had, and then he won the second, lost the third, but he got more respect in the loss than win.
We'll explain that.
Rocky 1 got more respect in the loss because Carl, he should have been destroyed.
Right.
He was Apollo Creed was supposed to destroy him. He was the champ. He was undefeated, all this other crap. And then who's this guy, this nobody, comes in and not just survives, but does damage to Apollo. And that's how I seen this Iran situation to me. Because the longer this goes on, all they're doing is they're restocking, they're regaining power, they're losing credibility. So if you wanted a rise from the people of Iran, they're saying, I'm not doing shit. I mean, you guys already got 40,000 of us killed, and then now you want, or 30 or whatever it was, and you want us to rise up and do an organic regime change? Yeah, right. Thanks, but no thanks. So I think I'm very frustrated by this,
particularly now because the regime is looking resilient.
Yes,
they're looking like they look like they have staying power. That's the problem. Why would you go out to the streets again?
There's no win for Trump on this. Let me tell you why. Unless there's true regime change, there's no win for Trump, in my opinion.
100%.
Unless
100%.
there's true regime change, there's no win for Trump. Because if he finds an excuse to get out and says, hey, because this is what some people are suggesting, destroyed their Navy, destroyed their Air Force, did all this stuff. We won. We're out of here. Well, you could have done that 6 months ago, Jack, or whatever it is 2 months ago. This ceasefire, you haven't accomplished what you said you were going to accomplish.
I think that's really interesting to say it that way because the irony is, had he continued that kinetic pressure, I think you may have come to a place where you wouldn't have to wipe out every single IRGC leader to get the concessions that you're not going to need towards actual peace. But now he almost has to. I don't know how in the world he doesn't return. I don't to a major kinetic campaign. Now I realize it looks like he's lost his stomach for this, and he's trying desperately to find a non-military solution to this. Desperately,
they know it.
He's acting that way, and I mean I realize he obviously knows more than we do. But at some point, what he says has to matter. You can't say they're desperate to make a deal when clearly they're not.
As they're doing this,
I know,
shooting a bomb, shooting a drone, and
like.
we had to knock down 2 of their drones because they had been threatening us. I mean, it's like, what are you talking about? I love, just you say, I love my wife, and then you beat her. Well, no, you don't love your wife, asshole. You know what I'm saying? You don't love your wife. And these people, so he's saying one thing, and then the other, and something different is happening. Look. I know George has a different opinion about this. I think this is going to be a clear reflection in the midterms. I mean, so you want to say 2.5 years? Trump does not have 2.5 years as our president.
I didn't say this was going to be in our midterms, but I said if this persists at some point,
you see a change coming anytime soon. I mean, I guess anything can happen overnight.
That's been the crux. Well, I do believe that Americans, well, the entire globe has a very short attention span. So if I believe that if there's true resolution to this, and there was a major, I'm just theoretically, if there
what
was
would that mean? What would that look like to you? We just finished
all right, let's assume it happens Monday, right? So there's a major
Monday?
kinetic effort on Monday, and I don't think the solution is 50,000 troops on the ground. And I'm sure there's people, by the way, telling Trump that that's the only solution.
I guarantee
I
you
don't
there
know
are.
that there is. I'm no military expert, but I read a lot of military journals, and I've seen a consensus around a deployment of American Special Ops troops, particularly led by Navy SEAL Team 6, maybe with support from Army Rangers. But we have the ability to go in. We can scramble their radar. I mean, it's almost superhuman, the stuff that we can do. I'm not sure that you're not going to have any casualties, but it's not to the tune of thousands and thousands and thousands. But to be able to go in and literally assassinate these people, we have the ability to do that kind of thing. I realize it takes some coordination, and maybe that's what they're working on right now. Maybe they're purposely looking like they're fumbling the football here, and then boom, right? It wouldn't be beyond Trump to do that kind of stuff. I mean, this is the same guy who's talking about you have 12 days, and then it was really 12 minutes, right? Before going back to Midnight Hammer. So it's not beyond him to do that. But I don't see any path, and I've said it pretty consistent, I don't see any path out of this that doesn't involve the assassination of the IRGC leadership. It has to happen. These people are recalcitrant. They're gaining power with every day that passes. With Trump saying they're desperate to make a deal, but they're not. But they're really not, because
They're not acting
They're giving them
desperate.
double barrels in the air, like Nico said. And then the other thing is, Trump has how many times has Trump said that it's impending doom?
Yep.
The bombs are going to start dropping, and then nothing happens. And so that's what I mean by credibility. I think we're at a point here where it doesn't look like 4D chess anymore. It looks flat as a pancake.
It looks like don't.
And it's
Just
not
don't.
It's not looking good. So I'm
Right.
worried about the time. I'm worried about the clock. At some point, it doesn't matter. But at some point, it starts to matter, and I'm worried that it's starting to matter. But okay, I realize at the same time we have no attention span. So maybe that'll work for us. Who knows? But this is not a great look right now.
Oh God, no. I mean, look, just call it what it is. I mean, you have the Trump euphoria folks out there that Trump can do no wrong, and I'm a Trump. There's the Trump derangement syndrome. There's the Trump euphoria people, and then there's the Trump realist like me. I'll criticize when I need to criticize.
And say what you said
I will
yesterday.
support.
You said, look, because he was pretty brutal on Trump, and then he goes, but I'll still vote for him.
Yeah.
I'll still vote for him because
Yeah.
it's a policy choice.
No,
I mean, you look at
it's a referendum on policy. George, so George and I were going about this and Israel and this and Sean Strickland and Trump. We were talking about that and we got into it because remember we texted on our group text, and then George is like, just call me, bud. I don't want to text anymore. And I'm like, I want to text. I want to get you one more time.
I'm not
And
the skilled texter that Nico is.
Well, I'm not either, obviously, because
so-
I can't talk like I want to. But then George called me, and then we get all into it. And that's the kind of stuff you guys should watch. Those are fun conversations. But I was criticizing him heavily.
George, you're not listening. You're not listening. You're
Listen, I probably threw in
and then I go,
MF in there.
and you are? And you are? And then I realized I was kind of a...
Oh yeah, yeah. But that's how we do it. But then I said, but I'm still going to vote for the dude. I mean, because in the end, it's not about a personality; it's about policies. To me,
What do you think about what Carlos says?
yeah, I got to stay focused.
You
on
can
the
walk
policy.
and chew gum at the same time.
Yeah, I
you
can
should
criticize
be.
and I can still vote because I think I can defend policies that bless even people that think they don't like those policies. And we have some empirical data to kind of show it. When you look at Dem-run states and Dem-run cities and the violence and all the stuff happening with men and women's sports and all the referendum on these policies and these ideas, which is what this election was really about. And that's why even, I think Ruthie said, Salva sent me a thing, that's why even MAGA people feel betrayed by him because he's not following through on some things. I mean, look, this just call balls and strikes. George brought this up last week, and I'm so glad George brought it up. Where's the golden age?
Yeah.
He said it clearly it was going to be this year. Scott Besson clearly said it was going to be in 26. I guess I got it. So there's still a chance. Got it. I watched Dumb and Dumber too. And so I guess it can still happen the last half of the year. We're halfway done with this year.
I know.
Officially.
Yeah, I
We're
know.
halfway
I
done with
know.
this year. I don't know when that golden age, and when you have Iran going the way it's going, you're not going to get a golden age because of the prices on gas and oil and things of that
Well, that's
nature.
what Carlos said. He said if gas wasn't a little high, we probably wouldn't even know or care about Iran. Do you think that's true?
Ultimately,
No,
that's
look,
the pica.
Here's the problem. I think that what's being done with regard to the economic choking of Iran is brilliant, and it needs to be done. The problem is it's not on our necessary time clock. It's not something that's going to bring us the results that we need in time for the midterms. I'm sorry, that's the reality here in the United States, and Iranians know that. And so, do I think the choking off of their assets makes sense? I mean, Scott Bessent, I think he's done a lot of favor to the cause because I think he tends to break things down at the granular level, and he did a really good job this week. He was on, it was at the beginning of the week, he was on with Maria Bartiromo.
Who was?
Scott Bessent.
Oh, Scotty.
And he was talking about how it's been discovered that the Gulf nations, it was helping to sustain Iran, and we didn't know this. So the Gulf nations were actually hiding Iranian regime assets and bank accounts. And when Iran started attacking them, they said, we're not doing that for you anymore. And they called up Bessent, and they said, here, you got them.
Wow.
So that's another major choke point. That's fantastic. That'll accelerate the stuff that's going on in the Gulf because we've blocked their physical assets. Okay, is that going to change things in time politically in the United States? Hell no. That's going to go beyond the midterms in terms of how long it'll take Iran to actually suffer from that to bring them to the table. So kudos, that's fantastic. But it's from a political perspective, that's not going to deliver the win that we need in time.
Look, they clearly read Trump's The Art of the Deal.
You know they
I mean,
did,
I don't know
right?
if there's a part 2 coming out or
They'll write it. They'll write it.
I don't know. I don't know, but I mean, I mean, any schmuck can read the room and see what the hell's going on here.
Is there a part?
I don't know. I'm waiting. I want a part 2. I don't know.
Man, that's great. That's the best line from this show. And I know we have another, 40 minutes left, but that's beautiful. Is there a part 2 to the
I don't know. I'm just waiting. I'll wait.
I'm actually wondering myself, and I read it.
Where do you want to go, Karen?
I don't know. I don't know.
Their drone and missiles capabilities have not been sufficiently degraded. I realize they've not been. We're still getting hit. Okay, they're still mounting attacks in the Persian Gulf. Tankers are still afraid to go through. I'd be afraid to go through. I mean, 10 days ago, they were still planting mines, okay? And then we shot, what was it? Self-defense strikes.
How are they planting mines? If we're supposed to be escorting people and controlling and just take, big bald guys coming and going in to take care. I thought we took over.
All you need is a couple of those small boats. They're not all.
With our capability, we can't see them come in and just take them out like we take out those little mini boats of people.
You can appreciate there's a nimbleness to the small boats that giant carriers don't have.
Same with the druggies. I mean, coming over.
Fair enough. But I mean, the fact that it's still happening or that they feel emboldened enough to do that. I mean, I'll tell you what, they're brilliant at this asymmetric warfare. I mean, they leave no stone unturned. They're everywhere. I mean, they're shooting at their neighbors. They're saying, we're willing to negotiate. Psych! Hey, let's put out a $50 million warrant on Trump's head. Oh, and go after his daughter at the same time.
Yes.
Well, sure, we'll negotiate.
No shit.
And then I'll tell you where they've really tipped their hand. I think, and this has been a big win because for people who are wondering, they have literally tied what's going on in Lebanon and Hezbollah to negotiate. It's interesting because what they've basically admitted is that Hezbollah is a proxy for them. They've never admitted that, by the way. And so
good point.
And so you have, and what's interesting, I've always argued that the Lebanese government is no friend of the United States. I mean, the Speaker of the Parliament in Lebanon is a Shia Muslim who is very close to Hezbollah. And this guy came out. I mean, he's even being used as a puppet. He comes out and he goes, Hezbollah is ready to come to the table. Total ceasefire. Psych, they come and then they start shooting at Israel again. And so I can understand from Netanyahu's perspective that Trump is out there making these arguments, and Netanyahu, I think, is trying to honor Trump. But the reality is that he knows what's coming because it's a ceasefire, which is basically translation for when can we start shooting. So I get the tension. I can understand. I don't think the tension's going to go away because at the end of the day, while we share objectives, Nico, the reality is we're not 10 feet away from Iran. Like the Israelis are.
But if we're going to be talking about Netanyahu, I mean, that guy's screwed up the whole PR campaign on this deal. I mean,
he's rogue
the support
by himself.
Well, but he does what he wants to do. He does. I mean, definitely has not read the room white, and that's why Charlie Kirk was telling him, "Hey, man, you're losing this deal." And he writes that.
I was trying to address what you brought up earlier
I
about
know
this
that,
conflict they had, and allegedly they were in an argument, all this stuff.
I believe it.
I believe it too.
I believe it. I believe Trump said exactly what they said he said. I do.
Everybody
what the fuck
agrees.
are you doing, man? You're only here because I saved your ass and I'm doing this, and you're gonna pull this shit because he makes Trump look bad. When Trump makes himself look bad sometimes, but when he's saying don't do this, and then we're friends and we're allies, and then he does something. Whether I know George likes to give context to that, and if it's accurate, and I know it is when George says something, but then that's good to have that context. But you've got to be strategic about this. And I just think Bibi is.
If you get away from all of it, it's all legit. I'm just step back a moment and look at it in your own world. If it was the United States, the fact is, if the roles were reversed and our opponents are in our backyard versus being well beyond missile reach or any kind of kinetic reach, I mean, there's a certain latitude, there's a certain flexibility that you have that other guy doesn't have. And Netanyahu's coming to the table with that perspective. I mean, you can't help it. So I don't think this is the end of any kinds of discussions they have on the phone where they contest one another, because at the end of the day, it's not the same thing. Israel's right there. They're well within reach. There's plenty of missiles that have gone through. There's plenty of civilians that have been murdered and killed. There's plenty of kids that have been wiped out in Israel because of missiles that got through. No, the Iron Dome isn't perfect. And so it's just a different reality. So I can understand that while it just is. So we say America first, amen, America first.
Yes.
But if you're Israel, it's Israel first.
I know.
And you can't dig them for that.
I never do. That's why when they say, oh, Israel's trying to influence us, they should. We should be trying to influence them.
Right.
I mean, it's like a Royal Rumble. In all fairness to Israel, it's like a Royal Rumble. When you're surrounded by, in the past especially, everyone's trying to kill your ass, and then you're getting in these unprovoked wars, and they were going to say, oh, they're all provoked because they're evil. Okay, got it, check, whatever. But I mean, if we look at the history, I mean, there's these wars from Jordan and Egypt and everything around. I mean, you get punch drunk after a while,
and it never lets
and I'm telling you,
That's
unless
the
you've been in a fight, and not a one-on-one fight, I'm talking about a Royal Rumble fight where it's like 5-on-5. It is crazy, and you just start getting punch drunk. And I just think Israel's punch drunk a little bit too, because look, I don't agree with everything they do. They have a right to exist. I get the Islamic mindset of the RSG or with IRS, whatever, the Iran, IRGC. I mean, it's in their charter. They're never going to be okay with Israel.
No.
And they're never going to.
No.
So how do you negotiate with someone? No. And I've said this before. Hey, can we negotiate? Yes. We can negotiate how I'm going to murder you. Well, is there any other option? Well, yeah. I mean, I don't have to murder you today. I can murder you in 10 days if you want me to. How about I can pause and not murder your kids right away. Do you want me to do that? I mean, this is. I mean, I'm not being facetious. I mean, I'm a little bit maybe, but I'm just saying that's kind of reality.
Not really. I mean, and it's not just Iran. It's the Palestinian Charter. Yeah. I mean, the PLO. It's central. The idea of eradicating Israel from the face of the earth. That's their starting position. That's never wavered, never changed. And then Hamas comes in and it puts that objective on steroids in the Palestinian region. So this is just their reality. It's the way it is. I like the way you said it, punch drunk. I think that's exactly right. Look, we've been talking about Netanyahu, and his support actually goes up the more kinetic he gets against the
but listen to that. Listen to what you just said. Now you're going to get all the conspiracy theorists out there to say that he was on the verge of being impeached and arrested and this, and so that he wants. Okay, I know.
I was just saying. I know. I get it. I understand.
He benefits from this.
I get it. Well, but politically, you could argue yes. I'm not. All I'm saying is that's been true of all those leaders. The reality is that Israelis know the reality they live in. They understand that, and this transcends politics. It's just survival, and they get it. They get that their kid could be next on the way to school that day. It can happen just like that. Yep. You live in Tel Aviv, that's your reality.
That's why I don't understand why they don't have a Second Amendment. That is so... Talk about stupid policy. That is an absolutely insane, asinine policy that you cannot... that these people can't have weapons. I mean, because think about October 7th. If they would have all had the ability to have AR-15s, AKs, whatever, or handguns or whatever... First of all, they wouldn't have floated over with their parachutes and tricycles, but it would have been a different war. It would have been a different conflict.
If I may just insert a little context in that.
Please.
If you are an Israeli, conscription is a mandate. I mean, you are required to serve in the IDF.
I knew that.
And you don't give up your guns when you do that. I mean, so you're talking about, what is it, 10 million people? And somebody check me out on that, but I think it's about 10 million people in Israel. So a significant majority of those people have guns. I mean, they're part of the military framework, and it kind of cycles. I mean, you're finished, you do your thing, and then you can always go back at any time. There are reserve forces. So, I mean, there's really not a whole lot of daylight between the average Israeli and what's going on.
None of them
the
obviously lived in that village that got massacred.
Well, if you remember, fair enough, but there were videos of a lot of people. There were festivities that were going on. I mean, this is the that troubled me.
But that was at
of people that had come from other countries that were partying away in Israel. It's a good question. I mean, it's a legitimate question. Look, the whole October 7th thing.
Ugh,
I mean,
don't get me started.
There were internal investigations. There was a call for an independent investigation.
Internal investigation.
There were internal.
Who called it?
Oh, okay, every country has them. We have them here.
The
It's
same
okay.
investigative team that looked into Butler.
I'm just saying. There were internal investigations. I was trying to get to your point. Right.
Go ahead, Joe.
There were internal investigations, and at the end of the day, they were unsatisfactory. And Israelis said, we want an independent view into this. And Netanyahu pushed back on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Why?
Not cool.
Why do you think?
Yeah, why? Exactly.
Why do you think? I mean, look.
Because
you
arrows point to him.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Right.
All I know is that doesn't make any sense to me. If you truly have no knowledge, interest, whatever, I mean, then you should say absolutely we want to know, because I don't want this ever happening again, and I want to hold people accountable for the shortcome or for the hole in chink in our armor, so to speak. So I don't know.
Okay, so worse.
This was an all state failure. We're in a war. I'm telling you what the IDF ultimately and Netanyahu's position was. We're in a war. This was obviously a multi-pronged failure. We let our guard down. Everybody believed Hamas couldn't pull this off. This isn't the last time we were that stupid, which does raise questions. Can you really be that stupid that often?
But
Because
they
the
knew
same thing
about
happened
it.
in '67 war. And so they had, yes, there had been warnings. They dismissed those warnings as being really sort of incredible, because the idea that Hamas, a bunch of thugs in their view, disorganized thugs in their view. I mean, with Iran in the background, I can't imagine that they thought they were disorganized, but okay. So, but their argument is we are in a war. This isn't the time to be calling out or to be calling into question. Okay, let's get through this war, and then we can analyze all of this all we want. That's the position that they took. And Israelis got behind it. Not all of them. A lot of them still criticize Netanyahu about that. But the reality is that what's driving is a need to survive right now. Not whether Netanyahu let his guard down or whether he effed up in some way or whether, because there were people who stepped down, IDF leaders, particularly people who are in charge of the border, stepped down. And there are Israelis who believe there needs to be more accountability for this. But the reality is that they're trying to survive. And so which objective are you going to push?
Before
harder?
we throw too much criticism outside of our country, don't forget we had the Warren Commission, we had the 9/11 Commission, we've had Butler investigations. I mean, none of those are satisfactory to me. And when you look at the
And they never went any further.
and the evidence that's come out since then.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's well, that's what I'm saying. Warren Commission, JFK, yeah, same thing. But all I'm saying is it's just, I mean, it happens here too. All the different bullshit cover-ups and. I mean, this is to me as all part of that deep state that Trump ran on, gutting out this other kind of societal authoritarian group of people that run the whole show.
But there's so much of that. People are starting to not even listen to that anymore.
No, what? Listen to what?
To any of the deep state stuff. They're like, oh yeah, there's no election integrity. People are cheating to vote. This is the Epstein files. There's so much stuff, and you're like, is this real? Not real? Was Butler an inside job?
I think
there's never any follow-up.
COVID did a lot to damage the psyche of the average American. I mean, we were lied to so consistently and so blatantly. The propaganda was just so ridiculous, ridiculous. I mean, even people who knew nothing about basic immunology knew something didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, any person who never had a single credit hour in immunology knew something was wrong. When the official stance was 3 feet, and then it was 6 feet. And then you're wondering, wait a minute, I don't get how viruses work there. That's curious. It's a curious way for a virus to operate. The 3 feet and 6 feet. I mean, where does that come from?
No masks at restaurant tables.
Right. And Nico used to bring that up all the
Yeah.
time.
It used to drive me
some of these
insane.
things are intuitively stupid.
Yeah.
And so, but it was one thing after another, shifting positions, right? And then the task force, shifting positions.
Yep.
I mean, just all kinds of, you knew you were getting fed a spoonful of bullshit every single minute. And so that did a lot to damage the psyche of the average American. I think it broke. It did something where we literally question everything all the time. And I think while I think it's healthy to have a questioning spirit when you in the pursuit of learning, the extreme is not good. Where you are literally questioning everything, and the only way you feel you can learn anything is through some sort of conspiratorial framework. Because what that's going to do is it's by definition, it's going to pit your neighbor against you. And literally nobody can be trusted. That's not good.
Okay, so worst case scenario, all of this, Iran, Israel, all of it falls apart for Trump. What does the future look like with the Dems in charge, especially when it comes to Israel?
What a question. I mean,
Well, look at their candidates, Nico.
Well, look at their candidates, but look how much damage Biden did in 4 years. And look, I won't, because we can get into policy arguments with Mark Antoine and Alamo Talk and people that are on the left, and that's fine. We can get into those policy arguments, what's best for everybody else. But just look at the way Dem cities were run. Look at the border. The border alone. I mean, look at New York. They passed the bill, and they're taking the word mother and father off.
I know.
Of
I heard it.
I mean, this is insane. This is why Republicans need to not make it about the candidates. Don't make it about the candidates. Make it about a referendum on insanity. So they're not going to have Mother and Father's Day, I guess, in New York. It's going to be gestation person. What the fuck is so stupid? I mean, we just lost our mind. And people like Alamo Talk and Mark Antoine and people people in my office say, like, that's stupid. Now, is it stupid enough where you'll quit supporting it? Because that mindset, and that, well, you guys are crazy too. Give me one policy that's like super crazy like that. I mean, where men are walking around and no one wants to say. I saw a picture of some dumb dick dude, breastfeeding some baby. Just to make him feel better. I mean, literally, there's a baby latching on. I can't latch on to a dude's nipple, but I mean, we're just losing. We've lost our mind.
Lost our
and to call that out, you want to be called a name and labeled and all this other crap. Let's all just agree that that's insane and insanity, and let's get back. That's why Bill Maher, I like him so much, because he's not now. Does that cause him to vote Republican? I don't know. He said he would vote for Ramaswamy, Vivek. He said that when he was on his show.
He did.
So I mean, it seems like Bill Maher, that's the type of person. And if there was a reasonable Democrat, like a Joe Manchin, Federer, if I didn't have a choice, if there was a stupid-ass Republican in a Federer district or a Joe Manchin district, I'd vote for Joe Manchin or Federer, knowing what I know about them now, over some dumb dick Republican that's crazy.
Fetterman has already indicated that there's no future with the Democrat Party. He's already
saying, even before he said that. I'm just saying.
But to your point, because so what's his alternative? He stays in the Democrat Party. They'll primary the hell out of him. There's no way he'll survive a Democratic primary. I mean, these people are loons. Look, I have deep love. I grew up with a lot of Democrats. I have deep love for people who are Democrats. At the same time, I believe that the Democrat Party is evil. I can hold both of those views, okay? Because as a group dynamic, they do really, really, really evil things to the country.
Define what evil is then, because
what you just described.
You just
the idea that
a bunch of people.
Oh, that's okay. They'll live. I mean, I'll live too. I mean, I'm triggered all the time. Trust me.
Yes, you are.
but I'm doing just fine. Thanks. So we'll live. It's okay. We'll live together.
But what do you mean by evil? So people understand that.
Well, I think that when you have a series of platforms that are based on the denial of reality itself, I don't know how that is anything but self-destructive. So women. Evil. So just please grab onto something if you think this will sufficiently jar you. Ready? Women aren't men.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
They're not. There's poles and there's holes. That's the way it's always been. That's the way it's always going to be. Period. And to lie to your children that to your boy child that they're a little girl just because they might feel it because Johnny next to him said that he feels it too, that's evil. That's evil.
I agree with that.
To help your child deny who God and what God has made him is evil. Nothing good can come from that. And there are stories after stories. Check out the detransitioning era that we seem to be in right now. People are tripping over themselves and regretting the decisions. Yep. Okay, and these were subsidized decisions enabled by really stupid-ass parents that have destroyed kids. So the Democrats are doubling down on that. The party's doubling down on it. It isn't running away from that.
Yeah.
With very few exceptions, with the exception maybe guys like James Carville, who I think is a nut job. And that guy on that issue, He's pretty consistent. He's like, we need to get that. I mean, he's pretty, you see the expletives, get the fuck away from that. Stop talking about that stupid shit. Right? Because it's just batshit crazy. And so I start there, Nico, and I park there because that's the basis of reality. If you can't even argue that a man is a man and a woman is a woman,
agree with you 100%.
and that these are immutable traits, that they're fundamental traits of basic humanity, if you can't even, then everything that follows from is really scary shit. So that's my point. It's a party that's vested in the denial of reality. That's self-destructive at the core.
But my point is that party, that type of mindset it's been a takeover because it hasn't been like that the whole time. I mean, again, I've said this before in the past.
True.
Watch videos of Biden, Obama, Feinstein, Reid, Schumer, all of them, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, all of them. They defended marriage. No one talked about what men and women were. That was just insane. That wasn't a Democrat talking point. And now Dems are afraid to speak out against that. That's crazy to me. That's absolutely insane.
That's right.
And so, but the question is, the reasonable Democrats that think that's batshit crazy, knowing that that's where their party's going. So you keep voting that way because you just hate the other side, my enemy's enemies, my friend, so bad. That's what you're going to get. And then it's gonna eat you up too, because then now you're not one of them, and then they're going to turn on you eventually. That's why I'm saying you have to have my heels are dug deep issues. For me, it was the border in this last election. I mean, not that abortion is not important to me, not that marriage is not important to me, not that transitioning kids wasn't important to me. All that stuff is critically important to me. But if you don't have a country, if you don't have a border, if you don't know who's coming in, all the terrorists coming in, all the crap coming in, and the lack of assimilation and what was happening to this country, which I can't believe Trump has slowed down on and trying to deport people, but then none of these issues matter. They're all irrelevant. It's all just, hey, let's talk about this over coffee as we're being invaded. I mean, and all these people that supported that shit, like Martha's Vineyard people, the high elites, as soon as DeSantis sent them some shit, well, not for us. Oh, we love you. We think you're so great, but go somewhere else, asshole. I mean, that's exactly what they took. That's exactly how it is in that side. And then other people just put up with it because they think it feels good because they kind of entice them with some type of money or some benefit. I mean, it's so easy to see, and we get so divided. And instead of saying, can we just talk issues? Forget about the tribes, forget about the labels. Let's talk issues, and then we'll have to make a decision. I agree with this person on these issues, and only 2. I agree with this person on 5 issues, but disagree on 8. But man, in the end, these 2 issues are more important to me. Fair enough, that's fine. But when you start saying I'm not going to listen or vote or support you just because of your title, I think that's where this country is never going to get over it. They're not, and that's why again I encourage people like Bill Maher that encourages conversations, that's not afraid to disagree with his side. And now whether that translates into real meaningful voting, I don't know.
But I mean, we know what's been done in the past, but we can see what the groundwork that they're laying. I mean, we're talking about candidates. We talk about Zohran Mamdani here. I mean, is there any question here that being I guess Muslims are the new blacks for the Democrat Party? That's what it seems like. I mean, they can't run fast enough to embrace Muslim candidates. So not great for the country. No. Zohran Mamdani is now the mayor of the most iconic city in the United States. Yeah. The other most iconic city, London, is run by another Muslim mayor. I don't think that's great for the country. I don't. Sadiq Khan, you remember him?
Oh, of course.
Right. And so we just had right now in New Jersey's 12th district, Adam Hamawi just won. This is a guy. I mean, I don't know how it gets more blatant. This guy has been. I mean, it's been confirmed that he was providing aid and comfort and logistical support to Al-Qaeda in Bosnia, in Sarajevo, in the mid-90s. That's confirmed. There's been multiple reports, not just from conservatives, but from journals across the board of different political persuasions. The New York Sentinel, I think, being one of them. What are we doing?
So now that the border is closed for now, until Democrats take back over, but the Islamization of the United States is my next issue.
It's real.
It's very real.
It's real. It's active.
Very real.
And
I wish Democrats would get on board with this and say, hey, let's go back to debating abortion and this and trans and all the other stuff. But no, we're not going to change the nucleus of this country. I mean, the Constitution has to prevail. It has to prevail. And look, and Mamdani has said, look, we're proud to be a sanctuary city. Of course he wants that because he wants more. I mean, that's what they do. It's a different, you have to understand the ideology. And again, we'll do a whole show on this. And Bill Federer is great. Bill Warner is great. You know, we can give a lot of resources to people that are scholars. I saw this other guy, is it Jay Smith? I saw some other guy that was really good the other day. I guess came up on my feed. But this is the mindset. This is the new jihad. It's societal, and it's effective. Look at Dearborn, Michigan.
But it no longer matters. It no longer matters even if somebody is known to have supported, not just rhetorically, but materially, supported terroristic elements against the United States.
That's crazy.
I mean, just pause there for a moment, because this isn't like, hey, people out there have a legitimate differing view on Islam and so forth, but these are people who have been actively involved in providing aid and support to terroristic elements, the very individuals or the very framework that led the assault on the United States at 9/11. Right? So this guy now has won the primary in a crowded Democrat primary in the 12th district in New Jersey. And by the way, there's no way he's not going to win in the fall. I think the guy's name is Greg Mealy. On the Republican side. This is New Jersey. I'm 99% certain this guy's going to win. So we're going to have a terrorist supporting Muslim in the United States Congress. We already have Rashida Tlaib and we have Ilhan Omar, who can't say enough about how much they despise America and how supportive they are of Islam. Obviously, they're Muslims. We have Zoran Mamdani, right? And so this is where the Democrat Party's going.
But you have to say more about that, George, because I've had this discussion back and forth with Mark Antoine that watches the show, which I'm glad he watches, by the way. I love that he shares his opinion, but it's just not reasonable discussions with him. He puts all religions in the same boat. They're not all in the same boat, and that's what Bill Maher does differently than everybody else. It's like, no, I criticize Christianity, but they're not in the same boat. And you have to study the Islamic ideology, and you have to study the Quran, Hadith, and the Sirah, and you have to understand what they're trying to accomplish, and you have to understand the history. And that's where that video I sent you where Bill Federer does a wonderful job of showing the history of Islam and the mindset and what they're trying to accomplish. One caliphate under one caliph. It's an imperialistic mindset. It's not conducive for a constitutional republic. It's just not. And it's a true Islamic militant mindset is not conducive for a constitutional republic. That is just a fact. And I don't understand why Democrats and Republicans can't agree on that and then go back to fighting on everything else. Because guess what? With a true Islamic ideology that takes over and Sharia takes over, Republicans and Democrats are irrelevant.
May I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Here's my theory on this, and I think there's overwhelming evidence in support of it. My theory is that if that's happening, then something's unifying those various factions of people. And it's not just people on the left. It's overwhelmingly on the left, but you have factions of so-called conservatives who also support it. So what's unifying them? Answer, anti-Semitism. There is a virulent hatred for Israel. Look, we got a guy who's probably going to win in Maine right now, Graham Plattner. He's been all over the news, the Nazi tattoo guy. I mean, who knew that Democrats actually have a love for white supremacists?
Well, he's just a little
Yeah, did you know that?
A little Nazi.
Just a little Nazi. He's got the Totem Kopf on there, right?
Yeah.
Which is the head, the skull insignia of the Schutzstaffel, the SS. Which I think we know what that meant, right? They were fanatical killers. They were Hitler's private security force, but they were also in charge of what? The final solution to the Jewish question, the extermination of Jews. And that's the symbol on this man. It doesn't matter. It's okay. It's no big deal. I thought you cared about white supremacists. Apparently not. This man is virulently anti-Israel. That's okay. So he shares a lot. He shares a lot with Adam Hamawi. There's a lot of unification there, along with Zoran Mamdani. You see that. You do. Look, Candace Owens, I've never heard her say anything about Islam.
No,
Nick Fuentes, nothing about Islam.
That's always been my criticism.
Hitler's a hero.
And Tucker,
nothing about Islam.
Throw Tucker in there also.
Right. So you're seeing there's a unification here. Now you're wondering, where the hell did this come from? What happened in the immediate aftermath after October 7th? It was crazy. I was even surprised by it. I mean, you had legions of students on college campuses burning shit, tearing stuff down. I mean, literally chasing, it's well documented, chasing Jewish students, barricading them in bathrooms and in college libraries. Where did that come from? It's weird. Answer, because we have curricula from pre-K to high school to college and universities that position the Israel as a great evil, as colonizers, as settlers, as perpetrators of apartheid, as genocidal beasts. This is taught day and night. So when Israel responded to what Hamas had done, when Israel responded, it's way disproportionate. They're being genocidal. It just exploded on the American front. And so you and I were chatting very briefly this morning about the sentiment for Israel. There's been a slide in terms of a slide against Israeli support for Israel here, primarily in the aftermath of October 7th. But this doesn't start October 7th. It just surged.
You said a lot, but reasonable minds can differ on the response to Gaza, right? Reasonable minds can differ.
Bud.
Yeah,
sure.
And so because I'm one of those that I question very strongly the response. I would have rather Israel said, look, they came in on October 7th. Apparently, we knew about it, but that's a different discussion. And they murdered, massacred, burned, decapitated babies, people, whatever, all that. And no, that's not fake. People that were against that saw the actual GoPro videos that are out there, by the way, and they threw up and cried and had to leave and walk out. So even Tony Blinken was like visibly disturbed after he watched the video. So please save the whole stuff. Oh, that didn't really happen. So let's just put that on the shelf for just a second. I would have rather Israel said, we're taking them all out. I'm not going to make excuses, just all of them. Just take them. Just say that. Because when you look at the ashtray of Gaza, and I get it, and I'll listen, and I'll open, I'm just, that yes, under every hospital and every other school and under this, there was an ISIS, I guess, torpedo, whatever, rocket launcher, I guess, and there's tunnels. I get all, whatever. I'm just saying, it just, it doesn't sit with me. So I am I think a reasonable critic of the response, and I would have just been better off. Whether I would have disagreed with it because I don't think that's moral. I would have disagreed with it, but I think you'd have been better off saying we're just taking them all out. We're not going to screw it. Just take them out. That's my opinion. So reasonable people can disagree on Gaza, but that doesn't mean that they're doing it for genocidal reasons. Who knows? I mean, that's between them and God. But Israel's a mixed bag, man. We just got to call it for what it is.
But nothing that you said is unreasonable.
Right.
I mean, I think I have a different view. I know. I have a different view. But I don't think anything you said was totally reasonable. But notice the examples that I gave weren't reasonable. To be taught from pre-K forward that, and this is happening in Middletown, Manhattan. There's been reports about this. You're teaching pre-K, the Jews. Oh yeah, all that stuff you've heard about Jewish noses. That's legit. Yeah, that's right.
What about
so from
what do you mean their noses?
The Jewish nose, long and curved, and it's ethnic. I mean, these used to be tropes in Nazi Germany. You used to post them on storefronts. The Jewish nose. By the way, how do you know they're Jewish? Look for the nose. They used to have posters about this in Nazi Germany in Berlin.
That's kind of funny.
The point is,
Lebanese have big nose too. No, but people make fun of Lebanese.
But they were like wanted posters.
Lebanese.
I think I can think of plenty of things I'd like my pre-K student to be learning.
No,
other than the fact,
of course not. But
I know what you mean. But my point is, from that shit to genocide, these are claims of, and these are kids. They're not going to push back on their teacher. The teacher's a symbol of authority, so they're imbibing this shit from day one. Israel isn't positioned as a political body, a nation state that have policies you may agree or disagree with. Let's look at the positives and negatives. It's not presented that way. Israel's evil, okay? And they come out of the classroom chanting from the river to the sea.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Salo, that is a call to extermination. That's not hey, I got problems with what Bibi did. No, let's kill them. That's the position that we're hearing. Where did that come from? By osmosis?
Well, explain what that means. Explain what that means, because that means from the river to the sea, it means something.
Israel's a very narrow piece of land. The sea is the Mediterranean, and on the other side is what? You got a river body on the other side of Israel. And so what are they defining? From coast or from edge to edge, from border to border.
Get rid of it.
Right. From the river to the sea, they're going to be displaced. What does that mean? Well, they're going to be exterminated. This has been a call from the days of the PLO under Yasser Arafat. Yeah. And he wasn't exactly a friend of Israel. So we just need to understand there's nothing reasonable about teaching kids that Israel is evil and should be destroyed, that every Jew, human beings, should be killed. That's what's being taught in the American Academy. It's not reasonable. What Nico presented, these are reasonable questions to ask. What's being taught in the academy is not reasonable. We're teaching justifiable murder is what we're teaching.
But Roman Online says, where are the parents when all of this is being taught to our kids?
I think Nico can answer that question really well. When did you remember during COVID, they're having their Zoom classes, and you always say parents walk by and they're like, what the?
Yeah. I mean, they
That's
just don't
the
know.
answer.
Ignorance. I mean, there's just being too busy and not being involved and sending kids off with phones and iPads and all this other shit because it keeps them busy instead of making them think and have wonder in their mind and strategize and think and just process stuff. We want to put them in this humpback position, this turtle position, looking at phones and not being athletic and not competing and doing hard shit. You got to have your kids do hard stuff and to think and critically think. And so what George makes fun of me is that, or jokingly, that this realization happened because COVID backfired on these fuckers because they're at home doing this homeschooling and parents are walking by like, what'd you just say to my kid?
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And they're like, hold on, how long have they been teaching you this crap? And what? And then parents started going to the school board meetings and they started being called what? Domestic terrorists. There's another title. That's why I can't stand these titles.
So scary.
I mean, I got in a discussion with a buddy of mine because, he and I love him to death, by the way. But if you defend Israel for what is apparently, then you're called some goem or whatever that word is they use. A goyim. What does that mean? Like a slave or something like that? I guess that's their word. They say they use it, but then people use that to people that you're bought out or you're occupied, you're this. Like, no, bullshit. I mean, don't use the left. Don't use the left strategy just because you criticize something. You call I never do that. I can't stand that. I want to look at the facts. I want to look at the evidence. The verdict will follow the evidence, and we'll come to a verdict at some point once we look at everything. But to me, Israel, I guess overall, we'll finish this conversation. I know you want to move on to something else, Karen, but is a mixed bag. They do a lot of things that I do not agree with. I don't like the culture there, in my opinion. I don't like the way they look at Christians. Not everybody as a whole, but they're a strategic ally. They're not our friend, and we're not their friend. We just got to accept that. I disagree with the pastors that say that you're saved without Jesus, but they're saved without Jesus. That is not biblically correct, and that is heretical, right, George? But there's pastors that do that. That is heretical. They're the chosen people because they were chosen for the gospel message to be brought into the world. Jesus, our Messiah, our Savior, is ethnically Jew when he was on this side of heaven.
And that isn't nothing. It's significant,
Sure
but it ain't
it
going to
is.
get you into heaven.
No, yeah, absolutely.
No way. So, okay. Well said.
Just a couple of comments. You were talking about the students and how they were cornering Jews, like in college, and how the young people had already known that was something that they had to do because of all the teachings that they had in all their school years. And then somebody brought it up, and it's not a different topic, but can anybody make any comments about these teen takeovers that are happening? Have you seen them?
What's that?
I mean, it's just like the young people. It's just these
ransacking of storefronts and just communities by waves of teenagers who
Doing
are
what? They're just
ripping stuff
just
apart.
Yeah, it's like dozens of them just kind of coming through and running roughshod in a community. And there's been very little, comparably speaking, there's been very little pushback by law enforcement.
Why?
Okay, there's the rub of the debate. I mean, this is. You remember in California, there are a number of stories that they go into stores and just steal shit. Nobody would do anything. Employees were told to stand down.
But now it's violence.
Yeah, and now it's and I don't know how pervasive it is. I mean, I certainly heard more than one story about it.
Yeah, I've seen violence.
But I'm asking the same question you are. Why the hell would law enforcement just kind of sit on their ass?
You kick the shit out of all of them. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, you protect your. I just can't stand this pacifist mindset. Some tough love is real. It's needed. But it's not surprising. I mean, the whole toxic masculinity hurt our society, and so men were afraid to be men. And then that doesn't mean be a hard ass for no reason. That just means be appropriately stern and build up your children to be formidable and to be strong and tough and critical thinkers. And there's tough love, and you follow through with your punishment, and there has to be consequences. If you don't teach your kid early on, there's consequences. And these parents that want to be their kids' friends. And then they'll say something, let's have discussions with my kid. You don't have discussions with a 5-year-old. Because I said so works really great for a certain period of time. And now with my 17-year-old and 13-year-old, in the end, it's because I said so. But at the first, I tell them, I explain things to them because they're old enough to understand it. And even my 10-year-old, I explain a lot of things to him. But in the end, Papi said so. That's it. That's the bottom line. If you don't understand why after I try to explain it to you, what the bottom line, and you didn't make a good counter argument, because I'm always open-minded if we're having a discussion. Maybe they can convince me to do, but nope, because I said so. That's it.
But see, this gets back again to denial of reality. I mean, just denying what's patently obvious. It's not a theological argument. It is a theological argument, but it's also a sociological and biological argument. The reality is, in case you haven't noticed, men are designed to protect.
Yes.
They're designed to be warriors. They're designed to be fighters. They're designed to be other things, but that's fundamental. Women are designed to be nurturing.
Nurturers, yeah.
Okay, and that's a beautiful thing. That's a wonderful, complementary, mutually beneficial design.
Karen's not a nurturer.
It's beautiful. So the biology, you guys are killing me. The biology and the sociology bears out, a genetic reality. But there's a theological argument to be made for that in Christianity as well. But it's not just theological. It's biologically evident, sociologically. So you have a campaign and a party that's invested in denying those fundamental realities. What good can come of that? That's craziness.
Okay, we always say we're going to stop at 45, but one more question. How long can California count the mail-in ballots?
No, I mean, Nico, this is just outrageous. So California doesn't have an election day. They have election weeks.
Or months, maybe.
And so what you've seen, and this is predictable, so you have the GOP on election day is way ahead, doing very, very well, both at the gubernatorial end with Steve Hilton and at the local end, like you've heard of Spencer Pratt, that race against Karen Bass, is it?
Yes.
Salo
Yes,
in Los
it is.
Angeles?
No. It's Karen Basura.
Basura.
I like that.
I did.
It has a nice sound, kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? So you, doing remarkably well, not just on election day, but certainly in the early vote count. And then you start seeing day after day after day, you've got these tranches of ballots that are dropped off, right? And the rules are loosey-goosey. I mean, you don't need an effing signature. You don't even need a legitimate address.
No dates.
Right, then what's
on
the
there.
answer,
need to be
George?
date stamped.
Then what's the answer?
So what's happening? What's happening is slowly but surely the vote is being what? It's won in the Democrat side. And so I ask a question and I'll shut up. Because this has happened before, Nico. You remember what happened, stolen election in 2020. Can somebody think, and maybe I'll talk and help me out, just one example where after all of the counting in the weeks and millennia after Election Day, where the victory went to one Republican?
Zero.
It's always Democrats. And I'm just curious. It seems to me a statistical anomaly. So what am I missing?
But everybody should want election integrity. That's it. And so you vote on you could do a mail-in ballot for absentee. I think I approve, if you're either old or you're serving in the military, there's some very limited qualifications. Election day, that's it. There's no coming in after that. Election day, and look, it should be in person. We have early voting here. In other countries, they don't. They give everybody off for work. It's a national holiday, and you go vote, and that's it. I mean, if you care about this, but what's the answer for California? The answer, unfortunately, is going to be that's always going to be a shit state in the sense of their ideology. And then everybody's going to continue to leave, and then that's just going to be like another country.
Carlos said California is going to take as long as it takes to make sure the Republican is not even an option.
Well, that was George's point. He was getting at. But my point is, it's never going to be corrected because state elections are run by the state. Even though it's a national effect, it's still state elections. So that's the good and the bad of the separation of powers, right? So that's going to be the issue, and they're never going to get out of this hole if it continues like that. Because then there's all Democrats running the state house, so they're not going to change the rules.
Doug said ballot dump last night, 23,000 votes, and not one single vote for Pratt.
It's impossible.
That's statistically impossible.
In his worst day, he was clocking in at 30 to 40 or 30 to 35%. So you should see 30. I mean, if you're going to think representative, not one, that's completely impossible.
It's statistically impossible.
This is institutional fraud. California is an ocean of fraud, Nico. I'm trying to understand. It seems to me cognitive dissonance to say, okay, we know that there's hospice fraud in California. New York Times has reported on it. The Washington Post, the New York Post, lots of it. We have SNAP fraud in California. We have lots of fraud with at homeless shelters and funding for the homeless, right, to the tunes of billions of dollars. We have healthcare and Medicare fraud. We have immigration fraud. But on voting, there's no fraud, right? And it just befuddles the mind. Something has to be done about this.
Like what?
Well, apparently there are DOJ investigations into it. Let's see where that leads.
There's another investigation.
They ain't going anywhere after about 2 years.
The investigators.
Yeah, the
investigators.
investigators.
So much the
that
investigators.
you trust so much.
But to your point, you said an interesting point about how other countries are looking and saying that's insane.
Do and done. Yeah.
The Brazil election was like 125 million ballots. It was counted in 2 hours. This is Brazil. France was like 4 hours for like 35 million ballots. That's France. France can't do anything right, but they managed to do that.
California's big.
India, for goodness sakes, took like 24 hours, and it was like, everything's big in India. There's like, billions of people. It was 640 million ballots. So other countries can somehow knock this out in a couple of hours, but California requires weeks, Nico. Whatever, man.
I really,
something's got to be done about
wish
this shit.
Republicans and Democrats would come together on that, because you can't say, I don't want to fix it because it benefits, quote unquote, my side. And I mean, that's not a principled argument. A principled argument doesn't matter what side you're on, because it's a principle. A principle doesn't theoretically belong to a side. It belongs to itself. A principle belongs to itself, and then the sides come to the principle. The principle doesn't go to the side. And so that's where I'm at with all this stuff. And I think it's terrible for this country. I'm going to continue to fight the good fight, as they say, until the good Lord calls me off this earth. Try to change hearts and minds, move the needle, make persuasive arguments, educate myself, always be open to learning. But I'm not encouraged. I'm not hopeless, but I'm not encouraged for the next 250 years. Yeah, right. I mean, under this mode, and I really do. And I'm going to leave with this. I really believe that Trump and the Republicans squandered God's grace. That's the way it looks like to me, and because
I hate to hear that.
Well, but I mean, Mama, this last election was truly a referendum on all these crazy ideas. And the tent had expanded, and things had changed, and the whole momentum was there, and and I think this over promising and over marketing has kind of caught up to him, unfortunately, because
and we hope he wakes up fast.
I do pray for him. I pray for all people in power. By the way, all Scripture tells us to pray for leaders, and if they're Democrat, Republican, we pray for all. We should be praying for all leadership, for wisdom. For courage to do the right thing, courage to stand up against your side on either side, whatever it is, and truly serve the people. And then also pray for people to wake up and come to some consensus of the rules of engagement of this beautiful country that we have, this wonderful experiment that our founding fathers handed over to us 250 years ago and that we have squandered. So, I don't know. So, no doom and gloom. Jesus
Are you
loves
praying for Jill? Are you praying for Jill Biden?
Jill? Yeah, I should. We should. Why? What's wrong with that? What does she do?
She wrote a new book, and she's just saying that she had never seen.
Oh, yeah. She's full of shit. Well, I mean, everybody knows that. I mean, please.
You're praying for her, but...
We should, but I mean,
No,
but
I know.
you still call someone full of shit. See,
I pray for all kinds of people that are full of shit.
Yeah.
Nico, just and regardless of your political affiliation, to have the courage to look at what people are doing versus what they're saying. I mean, hopefully what they say and what they do align. But, I mean, don't be a victim of propaganda. Mm-hmm. I don't care what your party affiliation. You're doing yourself no favors. You're certainly not going to do your kids any favors, because that's the world. That's the world they're going to live in. So have the courage to push back on bullshit. Like we've said here, I voted for Trump. If Trump was on the ballot again, he was the best we had. I'd vote for him again. But at the end of the day, I'm very willing to criticize policies that I think are hurting the country right now. What he's doing, ceasefire, we talked about that. I don't think that's serving the country very well. I think it's dragging us through a huge state of confusion and ambiguity right now that I think could be avoided. I don't think that's constructive. I don't hear any kind of criticism coming from the other side against their leaders. I don't hear any of it. I mean, I like Howard Ford a lot. We ought to take Howard Ford and we ought to copy and paste. Harold Ford.
Harold Ford, yeah.
We ought to take him and copy and
Love
paste.
that
Copy
dude.
and paste.
I like
Copy
him
and
a
paste.
lot. Yep.
I mean, that guy,
whether he believes it or not, though, he's not a Democrat anymore.
he's just a reasonable human being.
He really is. I like Harold Ford
I mean,
a lot.
and he knows history.
Yep.
And he doesn't bullshit.
That's right.
And he calls balls and strikes.
Real quick, and we'll stop on this. Don't just yes or no. You can explain later. If Trump was on the ballot against Rubio, who'd you vote for?
probably Rubio.
I would too. that was good for him. Interesting.
He could go for the
future.
distance.
He's the future. He's the future. Yeah, I agree with you. Good answer.
But I feel like channeling the LaHood that I know that would say, if my aunt had testicles, she'd be my uncle. But
I say balls. I say balls.
One final statement from Tom.
I love it. Correct. Let's get that right?
Tom says squandered. He's got a lot going on. He's talking about Trump.
Oh.
He's got a lot going on. He can't win them all. How about he's doing an amazing job for our country?
Okay, it doesn't mean he can't reverse that, right? We're just saying
hold on, but how do you define amazing? Has he done amazing things in his presidency?
Amazing amount of things for our country.
But look, George, what was that stat you told me about yesterday about the jobs report?
No, 188,000 jobs.
Nobody wanted to
created.
talk
This is
about
the
it,
third
though.
month,
Yeah.
third month in a row.
Okay.
Manufacturing is absolutely solid. I mean, joblessness is at an all-time low.
You think that's going to be on the ballot in November?
Nobody knows about it.
Nope.
But nobody knows about it.
Doesn't matter.
Nobody knows.
None of it matters. So did he do a wonderful look? If Trump did one thing for us, he's closed the border. That forever, he'll always get my credit for that. No, did he do a lot of other great economic things that have been in the pipeline that should have led to this golden era and this golden age? Yes, everything he was doing from the tariffs, from everybody was wrong. You just have to admit
I think that's the crux of the issue.
Everybody was wrong.
Other than the border, there's not a single objective that isn't half implemented, and that's a problem. I mean, this Iran thing is just sucking the oxygen out of the room.
Yep.
And so, even though he's done some great things, I don't know that they're achievements. He's done great things, but nothing's been achieved.
Yes.
Economically, what have we actually achieved as a country? There's a lot of Republicans that are sour on Trump right now because every time they go to the pump, they're paying $5 a gallon.
Yep.
And you guys know, I mean, you surely understand, fuel affects everything.
Yeah, everything.
Everything.
Production,
A cereal box, for
production,
goodness sakes.
everything.
A steak. It affects everything.
And those inflationary factors, we're going to feel it later. These are delayed reactions, and so
things have to happen now in order to stop
I think
that
that's
from
right.
being worse.
I think that's right. And I told Nico, even if we have a miraculous closure to all these issues overseas, it's going to take a couple of weeks. I'm being generous. More likely a month before the average person can actually feel it and tie it back and say, oh, yeah, thank God that war ended, because they won't feel it for a while.
Right now, right.
So I'm frustrated by that because we have a November hard line. And while I think so far I follow this pretty closely, I think we're looking real strong in the Senate. We're not looking great in the House. We're not. And apart from the redistricting effort, which needs to continue, I honestly think we'll lose.
Yeah. All right, there you go, Tom. Thanks for listening and watching.
To end on a positive note.
Yeah, thanks, George. You suck. All right. So, was anything going on this weekend?
That said, I'm hopeful.
Nothing, right? Nothing to celebrate?
Celebrate
life.
We're all getting ready for Father's Day.
When is that?
In a couple of weeks.
When is it? Of June?
Yes.
Oh, all right. All right, guys. God, we need good daddies out there. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Share these shows with someone you think may benefit from it. Thank you for joining in. And we'll do our best to read your comments and respond. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.